Friends, today I am going to bring to you a unique story of a friend, environmental professional, and a big personality on a global forum. She comes from Tamil Nadu, a state in southern India, and we met 25 years back. Then she was holding a position of professor, I believe, in a very renowned organization in Tamil Nadu based in Chennai. A few years back, when I met her, she was known as industrial hygienist. And last time when I met her 6 months back, she was, along with all those, she was also a climate expert, climate adaptation expert, working on ground passionately with women as well as marginalized community. She is a very big shot on the international forum as well because she is heading different chairs, different committees, and she is also country director of NIHR, which is called National Institute of Research and Care. So let me straight take you to that personality. And she is not here in India right now. She is there in Canada. I am here in Delhi. So we are doing it on a Zoom call. Let's start with the discussion.
Heat is very natural for tropical countries.
Right.
So the feeling is like, what can you do about heat? You can't put an umbrella under the sun, correct? So industries just accept that this is what is happening. Like sometimes, corruption is what it is, and we just accept it. Something like that. And even in the international forum, people think, what can you do about heat? You have been living in heat forever. Workers were working near the ovens, the furnaces. We found like about 9% of them had 9% is a large number actually
Wow.
of kidney stones.
Oh.
Kidney stones because of the repetitive dehydration and everything.
How are you, Professor Vidya?
I'm doing good, Dr. Anand. Tell me.
You are in Canada. First of all, I am not doctor. I am still engineer only.
I know that.
Yeah. What is the temperature over there? Because in Delhi it is freezing now. It is 9 degrees.
Uh, Here it's about -4.
Minus four.
Yesterday, before yesterday, we had an hailstorm.
Oh.
Uh, right now it's like about -4 because yesterday we had some sun, and today it's -4, but feels like -18 maybe with the wind and everything.
Wow. Professor Vidya, tell me one thing. Coming from Chennai, how did you adapt yourself to the climate of Canada? Way back or very recently you have adapted yourself?
No, I have been living in Canada for what, last 25 years, on and off.
Hmm.
So it's very easy, Mr. Anand. The thing is, like, you do not, like, actually go out in the freezing temperatures.
Right.
You're inside homes, and it's most of the houses are heated. Not all homes are heated here.
Yeah.
So you maintain a temperature inside your home, but that's comfortable for you.
Yeah, but let me tell you, it was on the humor side because we are going to talk about climate change and adaptation and maybe many other topic, related to climate change. So I wanted
Right.
to ask you first, how have you adapted yourself to the changing climate? Because you have to come to India, then to Chennai, Delhi, Canada. So it's all not that easy. Anyway, very warm welcome to you
Thank
uh,
you very much.
to our particular channel where we are going to talk about your unique story. Let me tell you, you are working in different fields, which I'm going to talk about. But the purpose of our podcast is to bring out a unique story out of your life. Okay. 25 years back when we met, I knew Vidya only as professor in Sri Ramachandra Institute, I believe, in Chennai, isn't it?
That's right.
But a few years back, I learned that now you have become industrial hygienist.
That is
And,
true.
and very recently, I came across your bio and got to know that now you are into climate adaptation and you are working for the marginalized women and then marginalized people. So it's all quite big for me, when I was reading your bio. So why not I hand over mic to you and you please briefly tell us about yourself and then we go ahead with other topics.
All right. Thank you very much. Yeah, I started when we first met 25 years ago. I started as a research officer from Ramchandra University. It was a postdoctoral position in one of the indoor air pollution projects. And then I migrated to Canada, was there for about 10 years, worked in Johnson& and Johnson. And then I came back to India. and I completed my industrial hygiene certifications. And one of the main reasons for inspiring reasons for me to do that was because I saw high standards of health and safety protection in Canadian companies, and when we come to India and we go to these industries, we see low level of hygiene conditions there. When I mean hygiene conditions in industry, we call it as noise, heat, chemical exposures, ergonomics, all of these. So when I saw that the contrast difference between these two countries, or developed countries and developing countries, I thought it was very important for us to uh, try and see what we can do best to make sure that these industries maintain some quality standards for health and safety. So after that, I got introduced to my mentor, Professor Todd Kellstrom, a late Professor Kellstrom. Now he's no more. Who introduced me to what is heat? Because in all these industries that I went, indoor industries or outdoor industries, most of them were especially coming in southern India, it's very, very hot, and workers were suffering because of the heat. So that's when Professor Kellstrom introduced me to heat stress research. I started with the industries because they would invite me to do the industrial hygiene assessments there. And then I collected data. Then I thought, what's happening to the informal sectors in agriculture or in brick kilns or in salt pans? There is nobody to invite me to do these industrial hygiene assessments. So I started applying for extramural grants, got those grants, and I've started working with these people. And when you mentioned about marginalized women and marginalized vulnerable populations, that's because of the lived experiences I've had with these people. I worked with about 6,000 workers across India, Indonesia, and Middle East, Central America too. So I saw what the conditions they are living in, what do they need, what are the felt needs of these people. We have had in-depth meetings with these people, and this is not for the sake of meeting, but for actual lived experiences of these people, and what would actually help them. So that's my inspiration to work in this area.
Yeah, thank you very much. But do you remember 25 years back, you had told me that Anand, my linguistic ability, I mean yours, ability is far better than mine. You remember that statement?
Maybe
And
yours still is.
no, no, yours is better, you had said. So, and I was asking you, first of all, to introduce yourself in the way that how to address you, Vidya. Means you immediately jump to your professional narratives. But before that, please tell me, you are country director of
In HR.
NIHR, then you are, holding some committee positions as well. You have number of accolades as well. So you are no longer simple Professor Vidya of Sri Ramachandra Institute. So I was asking about that. First, tell me. Definitely, we are going to talk about your other things. But who are you right now?
I am the country director of NIHR, National Institute of Healthcare Research, United Kingdom. And we have a center of excellence in Sri Ramchandra University.
Of that
And
NHR. Of that
of
NIHR.
NIHR, yeah,
Okay,
of
okay.
NIHR, the first academic institution to have this kind of center in India.
Okay, that is the first one. Okay, and what kind of activity I can understand? Care
We
and
do a lot of
yeah.
heat related evaluations. We work with workers to see the prevalence and what kind of adaptations can be given
Okay.
for these workers.
So NIHR is working mainly on heat stress related issues.
Uh,
Is that so?
no, NIHR is a National Institute of Healthcare Research. It works on different things. Like it
But
could
your
be
excellence center,
tuberculosis.
yeah, excellence center
It's
is
on climate change,
okay.
environmental change, and health.
Okay, it is on climate change, environment change, and health. Wonderful. I have a question for you, Vidya. What is the difference between health and safety and occupational health and safety? Because in India, generally people use health and safety rather than
Mm.
calling it occupational health and safety.
The difference between health and safety when it comes to industries is it's a completely different ball game when it comes to industries. When we are speaking about health and safety in industries, it's about reducing exposures for these workers to noise, heat, chemicals, awkward ergonomic positions, radiation, and many other things. But in a generalistic way, when you're speaking about health and safety, we are speaking about like different types of hygiene in general population, about accidents and everything. But industrial health and safety is very much different from the general health and safety.
We should call it occupational health and safety in the context of
That's
industry.
right.
That's what you mean to say.
That's right.
Okay, okay, okay. And you have been traveling all around world, I believe. You are traveling to UK, US, Canada, in India as well, here and there. Because of that particular position of NIHR or some other activities also you are doing.
No, I have projects in Central America, and we work with the sugarcane workers in Central America. There is a company called San Antonio. It's a sugar company, and they have and heat stress is a major issue in Central America as well because they have similar climate like us. And workers cut about 6 tons of sugarcane every single day. When you're talking about cutting sugar, it's like a very, very exertional job, and the heat is very high. So when you're speaking about heat stress, it's just not one temperature we are speaking about. We are speaking about how your body responds to the heat stress and the heat that is generated inside your body, which is like because of work. So these sugarcane workers are exposed to high heat, heavy exertional work, and we have seen in the last 20 years, 2.5 decades, lots of workers are having kidney diseases because of repetitive dehydration happening in these workers. So that is when this came to the limelight, saying that these people require some kind of adaptation without jeopardizing their job security and everything. So we are doing some adaptation work there, water, rest, and shade, something that can be easily adapted anywhere, but it just requires the body requires some kind of a rest every single hour based on the temperature, and then people rest, body kind of the thermoregulatory mechanism becomes better, and then you start working again rather than continuing to work after a 2.5 hour break or something. By the time the core body temperature reaches very high levels, which is detrimental for the body. So we had been working that kind of work in Central America. But apart from that, research takes me all to all these places, meetings and everything too.
After meeting you, last year when I met you and I understood
Mhm.
about the heat stress and all in your Chennai office, I spoke to different industries. Even the other day, two days back, I was in Hyderabad and talking to industrial people. And I said, heat stress is so very important. And I was talking about you as well. So what do you think? Why India is lacking this kind of awareness? Why?
Um, See, one of the quotes that I always tell everywhere I go in the international forums, and which is also something that is taught by the international forum, is heat is very natural for tropical countries.
Right?
So the feeling is like, what can you do about heat? You can't put an umbrella under the sun, correct? So industries just accept that this is what is happening. Like sometimes, corruption is what it is, and we just accept it. Something like that. And even in the international forum, people think, what can you do about heat? You have been living in heat forever.
Right.
So that is a very wrong narrative. Things can be done about it, and simple measures can be done about it, and that is exactly what my research is taking me.
I wanted to ask you rather, in South, I see you and many other organizations maybe which I am not aware of are talking about heat stress and all. And since I am myself an environmental consultant, I try to sell this idea to industries here in North, or not many are keen about it. So, what is your opinion in North? Is there any organization which is leading it or pushing it in some ways?
Yeah, definitely. You do have National Institute of Occupational Health in Ahmedabad. We also have one institution, NIEHS, I think, in Madhya Pradesh. They're all focusing on heat a lot too. And IIT Delhi is doing a lot of work on heat stress. THISTI in New Delhi is also working on heat-related pregnancy outcomes. So there is a lot of focus on heat right now because that's one of the major things that's going to be a problem in India
Right.
in future.
Yeah, focus, you rightly said. But what about interacting with the industries directly? Because I believe you have been interacting with the industries somehow directly. And you are in a position, or your organization is in a position to really push that idea into their minds. In North also, it is happening the same way. Is there any organization which is leading the way your institute is doing?
Mm, no, lot of private organizations, private companies are
Okay.
doing a lot of industrial hygiene work. But
Okay.
when it comes to research,
Mhm.
I think it's mostly the IITs, Jaipur, in Rajasthan. See, wherever heat is a problem, then they start focusing more on that. For
Mhm.
example, a lot of companies like uh, in Rajasthan also are focusing a lot on heat. It's a company, Sterlite company type.
Mhm.
They are focusing a lot on heat.
Mhm.
But when it comes to industries, Reliance is like focusing on heat, and just not heat, but all other industrial hazards as well, industrial hygiene hazards as well. But lot on heat, and I think North Indian companies are not focusing so much on heat only because you have a very short window of heat.
Mhm.
Compared to what we have in southern India. Southern India, we have about 8 months of heat, and
Mhm.
probably northern India, you have about 3 to 4 months, I think. So probably it is usually considered as a very temporary thing that can be easily passed, and then you get back to cooler temperatures. So that could be one of the reasons. This is just my guess.
Okay, that could be one of the reasons, but not in industry. Now, if someone is working near kiln or furnace, then for him or her, it is a continuous exposure, I
It's a
believe.
continuous exposure. That's right.
Mm. So, do you think other people, or maybe American people or European people, they understand the impact or ill impact of heat better than Indians?
Yes, because the heat stress research started in about 1962, I should say, and it was the first heat stress indexes were developed by American military, because these military people were actually going and working
Oh,
in the
oh,
various
oh, oh,
countries.
oh, okay, okay. So they
And
have, please,
they
please.
developed all these indexes, like in actually environmentally controlled chambers, where these military workers, like who were like very fit and nice, were able to do all these measurements, and they developed indexes. But what is very blaring is, like, we have been using those indexes in India for forever.
Mm-hmm.
We have not developed our own thresholds
Oh,
or our own indexes.
okay.
And we are speaking about workers. We are not speaking about military people. Military people are fit, their nutrition levels are different, but we are speaking about poor workers in India whose nutrition, whose infrastructure, everything is very different. So that is where we see a major gap between, like, what indexes we have been using forever, even now, and
How
why it is not suitable for us.
in America, the heat stress research started in 60s. What about India?
We started much later because we are adopting all these research indexes and everything that have been used by them, because OSHA's came like in 1940s or something, and we started using in Factories Act like after 1960 60s, the
Mhm.
same heat indexes that have been used in the US. So we just adapted what OSHA has given to UK and to India. That's it.
But what about
So
our
we
own?
started our research. In fact, one Professor Nag from Calcutta, he worked in National Institute of Occupational Health, and he started this research maybe late 1980s or 1990s, I should say,
Mhm.
actually seeing if heat has an impact on public or the workers.
So that research was useful? Was it implemented in some way?
Um, I would not say it was not implemented, but it was not passed as a bill. But
Okay.
no, the awareness came about after 1990s, when people started looking at heat as an issue. But
Mhm.
major research started happening only when I would say in 2000s,
Okay.
the last 25 years in India.
Okay. And in Tamil Nadu, are you leading in this research, or is there any other organization as well?
I think we are. So I won't put it as called a leader or anything in this. We have been
Mhm.
doing lots of work in this area
Mhm.
for the last 20 years. And
Okay.
I think because of our quantum of work, we kind of have an edge over others in southern India. We are actually capturing every individual's physiological distress because of heat, which has not been done by other research groups.
Why it is so? It is because you have more money, or because you have Vidya? as a leader.
It's not because we have Vidya. See, one thing is we have an advantage of be coming from a medical college, right?
Okay.
So, human health is one of the most important aspects that we look at in any kind of exposures. That is one thing. And I have been fortunate to get some funding as well. And I have been very fortunate to get a mentor like Professor Todd Kelstrom. So I have had the mentoring and I have had the funding to be able to do this. And these equipments are pretty expensive, and field work is very, very exhaustive. To go and collect data from, let us say, 10 people, 10 workers, there are many things that have to be done. We have to go and do the permissions, we have to do the initial surveys, then we have to get the equipments, we have to get informed consent from the workers, we need to measure them, and halfway through the assessments, the workers will not be willing to do it sometimes because they might be. So there are lots of resources, human resources and monetary resources required for these kind of research, and you need actually a good trained team to do this as well. So I have been fortunate because I have my PhD scholars, and so we were be able to do that kind of work. But many times other groups have not been able to garner that kind of resources. So they are, people are picking up. That's what I would say.
Mhm. People are picking up. And what about industries? You have visited a few industries, I believe. There's a
I have
mindset
worked with about 130 industries, I would say.
that is. So, do you see a shift in their mindset vis-a-vis this?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I will just give a quick example of a steel industry that we are working in Salem.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been working with them for about 8 years, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Every summer season, we would be there doing our research work.
Mm-hmm.
And we found workers were working near the ovens, the furnaces. We found like about 9% of them had, 9% is a large number actually,
Wow.
of kidney stones.
Oh.
Kidney stones because of the repetitive dehydration and everything. And workers there would be having a sweat rate of about 2.4 liters per hour.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Means every hour they would be losing about 2.4 liters of sweat because of
Mm-hmm.
the very, very high heat.
Yeah.
So we have been able to make some small changes because they can't make large infrastructural changes considering the kind of work that they're doing. But they have made definitely small changes, like changing the kind of diet and nutrition that they give during breaks, during the lunchtime, and also they had some individual man coolers. All of these changes have been made. Something that is simple and possible to make. And one tire industry that we worked with, we started working with them even before the complete industry was built. So we had given them recommendations as to how to reduce heat. And so they had installed everything even before the industry was done. And so those workers were very protected from heat.
It's a wonderful initiative. I'm sure you are helping them a lot because I come from the industrial background itself. But I have seen in infrastructure also they require. But somehow in most of the projects when I audit multilateral
Multi.
development banks, yes, MDBs, there also you require this heat stress management when they are working labor working under a scorching sun and all, na? But I hardly find it really implemented. Also when you are working on an MDB project, you have a lot of safeguards and other things, documents are also there, but even asking for a shed becomes very difficult. So now
True,
that,
very true.
yeah, it is true, na? So that brings me to your core questions. You talked about marginalized people, you talked about just transition. What was that? You mean to say there is no just transition? That's what you mean to say?
That's right. When we are speaking about transition to greener technologies or climate adaptations, it's not just green technologies that we have been using. We are also actually changing the way things are working, how we work, so that people will be protected from heat. And I'm speaking only in terms of heat right now.
Yeah.
For example, one of the examples that I would say, and then what we are seeing in informal sectors that's happening is people have started working during the cooler parts of the day, which is like very natural, and it's logical as well. But what's happening is most of these brick kilns and construction workers, for example, in Chennai Metro, We have been having this Chennai Metro going on for a few years right now. And we have seen that the workers, construction workers, have started working after 7 in the evening. They'll be working till 7 in the morning. But what has also happened is there is a preferential hiring strategy that they have, where they will never hire women because they cannot work in the nights. They have caregiving facilities, caregiving responsibilities for their families, children. So, what has been, they have been completely excluded from that workforce, construction workforce, which used to be there before. So, in a way, that is not just as well. Because they have been denied the opportunities to work in these kind of situations because of climate adaptation. That is just one example that I'm giving on.
But if I may stop you with there here, yeah, that's a good example from your point of view, heat and denial of opportunity. But maybe they are taking extra precaution from other point of views. That's why they are not offering job to women for the night shift. But what about day
Yeah.
shift? Are they being denied opportunities in the day shift as well?
They're not being denied opportunities in the day shift, but most of the work does not happen in the day at all.
Okay.
So
Okay.
jobs, for example, if there is a workforce of, let us say, 1,000 people, about 800 of them work in the night because it's easier for them to manage things in the night. Though the energy costs are high because they have to have floodlights and everything.
Yeah.
We are not actually working in a sustainable manner, is what I would say. Of course, like, they are protected from heat in a major way. But when it comes to higher energy costs and everything, that this kind of adaptation is not very sustainable in my opinion. But also, what I would say is like the rest 200, 800 of them are working in the night. There is only like minimal work that's happening in the morning because of the heat for at least 4 months in a year. And this 200 workforce has like a very small number of women in that, because they are not able to do the job in a manner that it has to be done.
Is it really? Means, do you think they are being denied opportunity? Because when you look at entire safeguard issues from so many angles, so one place you are doing it for their betterment, maybe protecting them, the women. So another place, of course, there would be something missing for them. So is it that really? Can we call it? Are you being very harsh on them, project
I'm
people?
not, no, 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 I'm not being harsh on them, but my whole point on this is the
Yeah.
woman empowerment that has happened before, because like when it comes to informal sectors in India, about 80% of the women are not, I would not call them illiterates, but they are not educated to the extent that they can take up different kind of jobs. So they are predominantly dependent on informal jobs in India. And we have about 80 to 85% of the informal sectors being supported by women. But
Yeah.
what's happening with construction, with what's happening with brick industries and everything, women are not able to take these jobs because they are not able to adapt to the shift that is happening so fast.
Okay, Vidya, when I was reading something, your bio, you are heading you are chairing ICOH Thermal Factors Committee. What is this committee?
This is an International Congress on Occupational Health. That is an international body where the thermal factors, which could be heat or cold, is being led by me. Usually, it's a 3-year term, and then you get
Okay.
elected for that. I got elected because of the kind of work that I have been doing in the area of heat. I am also an elected fellow of the Collegium Ramazzini.
I was
Uh,
coming to that. I have
yes.
that, and Ramajini I could pronounce somehow. So you are a fellow of the Collegium Ramajini,
Mhm.
and you are also first female non-physician scientist from India
That's right.
to be elected. So what is
That's
this?
right.
What is this, please?
Well, Collegium Ramazzini is like it's an congregation of scientists who work in the area of occupational health, and
Mhm.
Ramazzini is the father of occupational health. They constituted an an congregation of scientists who have done exceptional work in the area of occupational health, and only 180 scientists can be in that fellowship at one particular time. And then currently there are about 140 40 or 45 people, and I am one of them. And usually this honor is given to people who are occupational medicine people. And it so happened that because of my extensive work in this area, I was elected this year for to be an fellow in that. It's a permanent position kind of a thing. It's a permanent fellowship until unless you want to withdraw from it so that your position can go to somebody else.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you very much,
I'm
Anand.
going to increase your heat by speaking in Hindi. आप
Please,
आप
I will
मुझे
try my
बताओ
Hindi.
आप मुझे बताओ भगवान आप पे इतना मेहरबान कैसे है? Is there any other personality in the globe who is equally getting, recognized by so many fellowships, government committee chair, this that, or you are the only one?
नहीं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। हम इनफैक्ट गॉड हमारे ऊपर बहुत मेहरबान है, वो तो इट्स वेरी ट्रू दैट आई हैव बीन एबल टू गेट द फेलोशिप्स, आई हैव बीन एबल टू गेट द रिकॉग्निशंस, आई हैव बीन एबल टू गेट द फंडिंग, and I've been able to support so many people get their PhDs in the area of heat, which I'm very passionate about. But there are many others who are doing fantastically well in these areas.
तो आप कितने
Academics
लोग
and
हैं?
research is like that.
Coming to something, when I was reading your other work, you talk about so many things, other than climate adaptation, rural migration. You were also talking about some of the adaptation techniques you were talking about, like heat action plan, isn't it? And then we were talking about work rest cycles, time shifting. I think these are okay. These can be implemented very well in industry. I don't think there is any problem in that.
Here, when I spoke about Central American experience, that was the water rest and shade. And when I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking about time shift, I spoke to you about why people, how the construction industry is now moving from mornings to evening. That is called time shift work. Like I said, these climate adaptations, everything has its own pros and cons. And for the time shifting work, especially for women, is like not so favorable, especially in low and middle income countries. Time shifting could be very good for indoor companies and telemarketing companies and everything. But when it comes to outdoor work, it is not safe for women in low and middle income countries unless transport is arranged, unless childcare facilities are provided, and unless school timings or they have like social support, it is going to be very difficult for women to move into this time shifting. And I think this is going to be a major issue across the world. It's just not in India I'm talking about. We are speaking about Indonesia, we are speaking about Vietnam, Bali, everywhere. These women, especially in conservative societies, it's going to be really difficult for women to get back into the workforce, because many times women try and manage all of this in spite of these barriers, but they are not able to get back to the workforce full time, especially supervisors and employers, because of the various barriers that women challenges women have in adapting to this time shift, or preferentially not hiring them. And it's understandable based on the business point of view, but when it comes to women empowerment, it is like pushing it backwards by a couple of decades.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. I appreciate your views, madam, on women, but why are you so against men? You should also fight for them because
We do. Like all the Central American work that we did is only for men, actually.
so try to do the same thing here in India as well.
No, no, we do.
Because
It's just that, you know what, we know, and we have found that since men do more exertional job compared to women, kidney
yeah.
disease and everything is like much higher among men in India. So that is something that we have even given all this information to Parliament, and it
Mhm.
has been actually spoken in the Parliament.
Oh, that's a good one. I sincerely, as an environmental professional, this is my pure intention to tell you that this particular idea of heat stress and then some other measures you talked about, it should also be discussed with FIs, MDBs, bilateral or whatever. It needs to be pushed because most of the infrastructure projects which I have audited and seen, things are there on paper, but it becomes very difficult even to get a cooler for labor and worker,
That's
or,
true.
or in the field if you are asking for a worker shelter or shade or something, it is not available. And when you go to those government agencies and all, I'm talking about big shots, they'll say, iski kya zarurat hai, what is chal jayega, and all those things. So really, whatever you are doing, it has to come in a larger picture, I believe, through MDBs.
I would be very happy to work and sensitize these MDBs or these big companies on what are the simple measures that can be taken, why it is needed, what can be done without major infrastructural or energy cost it can be done, and I would
Mm.
be willing to do that. Example, women who are not able to work in the nights, whether it's brick or construction, there should be some kind of a skill building that happens to
Oh,
these
yes.
people. And when you mean skill building, that's already happening in certain places. For example, Seva in
Mhm.
Gujarat is skill building these people. And
Mhm.
these women are trained on homemade, home-based
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
photovoltaic cells or what? It's
I got your
mostly,
point. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
Wonderful.
these people are called, these women are called solar mamas for the solar
Ah,
panels and everything. Solar mama,
okay.
it's happening in Africa.
Oh,
It's happening in India. Things like that have to be done, and that has to go hand in hand without waiting for this transition to completely happen. So what is currently what I am seeing when I spoke to these 3,000 plus women is happening is they have progressed to financially support their family uh, because with these informal jobs, but they are now going backwards because most of the times these adaptations that are happening, the transitions that are happening is leaving them behind, and then they are finding it very difficult to cope with this
right.
fast transition.
One particular thing I wanted to ask you, which I could not understand, despite being environmental guy, whether indexed insurance, what is that? And is it feasible in India as well?
Uh, it's like I said, Seva is doing it for
Mhm.
women already.
Mhm.
It is usually called parametric insurance. They would call it as parametric insurance. For
Mhm.
example, in Ahmedabad, in Nagpur, in certain parts of Maharashtra, when the temperature reaches a certain threshold, okay,
Mhm.
that is set by this
Mhm.
insurance company. And for
Okay.
example, if the temperature reaches 40, women are given a choice not to continue working,
Mhm.
and they can get back home. But
Mhm.
it's a choice that's given to them, and then 50% of their salary wages is actually deposited in their account.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
women can actually protect themselves. This is something Seva, the organization which only works with women, is being done. So last
Okay.
year, about 2 lakh women were benefited by that. And even for any other climate disaster, for example, flood. They
Mhm.
lose a woman who is actually selling something on the streets. She cannot go because of a flood or something. She gets like 50% of the wages deposited in her account. So definitely parametric insurance can work for heat. Last year in Delhi, 2024 was the deadliest of heat waves that we had in Delhi. And about
Mhm.
46,000 workers, government made sure the construction companies pay to them, though they were instructed not to work between 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
3 hours payment was forced by the government, by the construction companies to give to the workers so that they don't lose their wages. But you know what? They still continued working beyond 4 o'clock till 7 o'clock to complete the targets, but they
Mhm.
didn't lose their wages.
Mhm. Mhm.
That
Mhm.
happened in Madurai also
Yeah,
in
that's what I
Tamil
was going
Nadu.
to ask you, which state it was, so I can understand it is Tamil
Delhi.
Nadu.
Delhi was 46,000 workers were paid.
Even Delhi also,
Delhi.
46,000
Delhi
workers.
was started first and then it came to Chennai.
Uh-huh.
Madurai and Chennai, they paid too for
Uh-huh.
construction workers.
Something I want to ask you, although these are all much appreciable about the Seva work, why the choice? Why choice was given? Because choice becomes a bad tool in the hands of masters as well. Why choice? When you think it is
Because it
not.
cannot be forced. It cannot be forced. For example, if in Canada we have when the heat index reaches, let us say 38, people should
Mhm.
stop working. That is like a bill that's
Mhm.
passed, and people
Yeah.
have to protect themselves. There is no choice. So,
Right.
but in India, we are giving a choice to a woman. For
Mhm.
example, she is working in a brick kiln and the temperature reaches 40. she gets paid half the wages. But if she leaves the job and gets back, what is
Mm.
a guarantee that she's going to get back into the same job again? So the
Right.
choice has to be given to these women, and
Mm.
many of them have taken it. Many of them have taken it up. Yeah.
Mm. Mm.
It's say the change is going to happen gradually. Our
Mhm.
society is not in a manner that things can happen like that. These changes are happening, and it will happen in a very phased manner.
Okay. Okay.
But again, it's
Wow.
a choice. It's a choice that
Of
is
course.
given to
Of course.
women.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. At this stage, we can talk about only choice.
Yeah,
At least they can make aware choice. That's what
that's
you are
right.
that particular organization is doing. And what about this retrofitted microcredit? Who is providing this for retrofitting and all in home?
Again, like you said, I know of organized NGOs like Seva who are doing it. We also have some organizations in southern India where
Mhm.
they are um, given some kind of a funding, microfinance, for these women to do some home-based businesses, rather than actually going out in the heat and working. But this is something that women who do not have, or families who do not have land, subsistence lands, can do. If you have a land, you still have to go and work out there. If you have a salt pan, you still have to go and work out there. If you have a
Mhm.
brick kiln, you still have to go and work out there. So the
Yes.
choice is not making bricks or making salt or growing food. It's just about how smartly we can adapt to this, by cooling foods. That is something that there is so much of knowledge erosion that is happening. We have traditional cooling foods like coconut water, cucumber, all of these. Everybody knows watermelon. It's just the knowledge is there, and things are available locally. How to use millets and fermented rice water in a manner that it will actually help your thermoregulatory system. This kind of knowledge erosion is happening in a large manner. About 60% of the population that we have surveyed in Tamil Nadu rural areas, we have seen that intergenerational knowledge transfer is not happening. And
Mhm.
people, all these workers and these people, heat stress people, are resorting to cool 5 rupees orange Fanta packet or something like
Mhm.
that, which is
Mhm. Yeah.
extremely sugary, which gives you
Mhm.
immediate rush, but it
Mhm.
has a large capacity to damage your kidneys and other body organs. So we are trying to also say what can be done at an individual level. Can we
Mhm.
protect ourselves first with the knowledge that we already possess? Then we
Mhm.
can wait for the government to make infrastructure changes. That may take few years, but by the time the damage will be already done. So at an individual level, how can you protect yourself is the best way to do. And I always quote this example, Anand, is like, how did we heat is something that we know has been happening for the last 25 years, right? Even more. And we have the knowledge, but we are ignoring it. COVID happened just like that. And then
Mhm.
India was one of the countries that was able to best manage COVID in the whole world. How did we
Right.
do? Public health communication. And that
Mhm.
is the way that we need to go for heat adaptations as well. We need to sensitize people. What are the basic things that can they do? And very very simple ways people can protect themselves. How can they cool their homes first?
Mhm. Mhm.
Migrant workers and everything who live in temporary shelters, in sheets and everything, even in Delhi for that matter. What are the basic things that can be done? These kind of public health communication should go. It's happening, but not in a manner that it should. And usually, the best time for such kind of public health communication is the same methodology we should follow when COVID was there. During the best soaps that are happening, like, and TV times and everything, because many communications happen when the people are actually working and they don't have time to sit in front of the television or whatever. So these are, and now social media is like rampant everywhere, and everybody has a phone. So either the IVR messages or the heat early warnings, all of these can be done in a manner that is easily digestible for even illiterates, because it is the illiterates and the marginalized people who require more of these protections compared to elite and who can sit in the air conditioner. We are not focusing on those people. So I personally think these are all some step forwards that our government can take, and just not the government, even MNCs have a lot of money, CSR money left in them, and these are all few messages that they could be sending out starting February to June, July, and that would probably protect few million people, not just workers, everybody.
No, because see, you are always growing and growing and growing with there, from 25 years back and now, a few years back and now, and I believe you are going to do many more activities in this field. The way you are passionate about, women and marginalized people, climate adaptation, it's all wonderful.
Excuse me.
Tell me, coming to your personal thing, tell me something about your family. Would you like to?
Yeah, of course. My husband, he's
Yeah.
also a scientist in Canada. He's with the University of Guelph, and he does DNA barcoding. And my daughter, she's doing her, excuse me, my daughter, she's doing her, she completed her fourth year medicine in the US, and now she's preparing for her step one examinations.
So what is this family like? Now, I believe all of you are there in Canada, isn't it? So all of three of you are there in Canada?
Right now, yes,
In a
for
room,
vacation.
in a room, how does it look like? All the scientists, all the researchers together. What do you talk about?
In fact, we don't talk about research at all.
That's good then. That's good. Otherwise,
We
by
don't talk
nature,
about.
Asha, you don't talk about this at all. Vidya, tell me, you keep calling me silly. Why do you call me silly? What is the reason for that?
Is it a part of this podcast or what?
It is. It is a part of this podcast because that is going to talk some lighter things as well. Na? We are not here only to talk about the technical part. You
That's
know.
true. That's true. I call you silly because there are only few people in the world whom you're comfortable calling these kind of things,
Wow.
though you don't
Wow.
mean it.
Uh-huh. So that is what this podcast, let me tell you, it is all about mind talk. The title of it is Mind Talks. And we always keep saying that everybody has a unique story. The way I see you, you are a big authority in your own right, but the way I see you from 2000 when we went to UK on the Chevening Fellowship, and then today when I see you, it's really very, very, very admirable.
I don't know that,
So
but
you don't know, but I know that because after meeting you in Chennai, after meeting your departmental people, the way you handle them, it was all amazing. This tells about a personality. This also tells about the leadership. And when I came to know about your recent assignments on climate adaptation, I was just thrilled to discuss with you something on these lines. Anything else you want to say, Vidya? Anything else which the people who are looking at this particular podcast maybe later on should get motivated, or any message from your side?
no, I think I gave the message about companies getting involved. It's just not government's responsibility. It is also all these companies that have the CSR money, and NGOs and even individuals can help each other in capacity building. That is a simple message that I would like to give because it is
Wonderful,
possible to conquer it.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, Professor Vidya. Now I can finish, addressing you like Professor Vidya, not Vidya only.
Oh,
Do you,
thank you
do
very,
you
very
have,
much, Mr. Anand. And
do you
you can
have
also
any?
help by trying to see if some sensitization can happen with the MDBs and others, so that that way we start disseminating this knowledge and sensitizing people first, so that they
Right,
can think of making steps in future.
right, right. Definitely. If I'm also blessed like you, then definitely I can do some sensitization for
Yes,
MDBs. MDBs.
definitely.
The last question before we wind up. You have any ambition for politics as well in Tamil Nadu?
Me?
Yeah, you.
One thing is like probably I'm not cut out for that. Second thing
Okay.
is I don't have the time. Third thing is I think I would rather focus on my family and my students right now. I think that's where I do my best, put a step
Yeah.
forward.
But your vision is quite broad. No? So in that respect, I ask you this question. Don't take me wrong.
No, no, no,
Because
no. I certainly think that I am not cut out for something like that.
ah,
I'm way
but
too
on
straight
the
for like an arrow for all these.
You are, yes, you are. You are absolutely, wonderful, wonderful personality with there. It's my honor to do this podcast with you, and not only because we were friend 25 years back since, but you are a wonderful personality. The kind of work you are doing in climate adaptation, although everybody is talking about climate change, adaptation, this and that, but you are really working at the grassroots level. And why I can connect with you, because I have been doing all these audits and all. Now, when I go to construction worker, I find it very difficult to really convince, get those things implemented. So hats off to you.
Thank you
Thank you
very,
very
very
much.
much, Anand. I'm glad we were able to have this discussion. It was a heart to heart discussion.
Yes, it was, and it is. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you very much, Anand. Bye bye.
Bye.